Well, hey everyone, it is another Humanize IT and I podcast, and I promise this time I'm going to post the right one. I gave you guys 2 weeks in a row the same podcast because this is an important topic. And also I was on vacation and I didn't want to. I figured I'll do a bye week.
There we go.
Uh, the behind the scenes of a podcast is you never notice that. Usually we're 4 to 6 deep on podcasts, but every once in a while you kind of slack off and you forget, like, oh crap, I haven't been recording podcasts recently. And then you run on to the end of the funnel. So when you see us do a bye week, it's because Adam was behind. I've got podcast to render and I forgot. I'm like, oh, we'll do a week off. Um, but anyways, this week we're following up on last week's. Hey, we had a few recommendations of how we're using AI in our company, some
Mhm.
practical examples. And then this week, Skip's like, well, we talked about in our community update how to talk to your clients about AI strategy. Like, let's move through this. So we spent about 5 minutes or so talking that through. And I thought, what if we made a podcast about that? How to talk to your clients about AI. So a long preamble there, but that's where we land on this topic. Like, what are things we can do? You may not be ready to write the book on AI, but compared to your clients, you're a freaking savant.
Yes, and that is a really important element. I see this, I've experienced it personally, and I see this in other MSPs. People don't want to talk about new technologies because they know how much they don't know. All right. And that's a very valuable place to be. But at the same time, you have to also realize, yes, in comparison, you know a whole lot. So leverage that. Your clients need that. But what really got me thinking about this and digging into this one was we have smaller customers, right? And, we all want to grow our business, and, new customers is always, on the top of, our to-do list, but we also need to grow our revenue from our existing customers. And there's typically a lot of possibilities for that. But there are some clients when you get in there and you look around, you're like, no, I mean, they can't spend any more on IT. It would really impede their other business functions if they gave us more money. We'd love it if they did, but it's just not a smart business move. So what do you do with those clients? So many times MSPs go, I'm just going to take care of them. They just put them on cruise control and you just, let them go on. But what if you could help that business grow? What if they had more money to then give you a percentage of because you helped them grow their business? There is more demand for IT. And I think AI is a prime opportunity to do that. It's not going to work with everybody. You're not going to have, a whole bunch of instant successes, but it is a great process to go through. And for those clients that you do help them make that leap into leveraging their existing infrastructure, their existing teams and customers, but now they added an AI component, and no, they didn't lay anybody off. They actually just used their existing workforce and gave it a, whatever X multiplier. And now the 5-man shop is doing the work of a 20 or a 50-man shop. All right. And they're making more money. So I think this is a great opportunity to really help your clients grow. And if you're part of that and you've brought that value to the table and you walk with them on that journey, they're customers for life, right? There's nobody else that come in and go, I can get your Microsoft licenses for $2 cheaper or something. They're not even going to get through the lobby, right? I mean, you are an integral partner in their company because you helped them grow.
Yeah. And when it comes to AI, there are lots of things you can talk about. Now, when I go to business meetings and I talk to small businesses, medium-sized businesses at cigar event or anything like that where I just happen to be around them, they're struggling with the idea that ChatGPT, it's cute. I just don't see any use for it. It's kind of gimmicky. They don't know about Claude. They don't know about the depths of Copilot. They've heard of Copilot, or they don't know about Gemini. They don't know what these things are actually for. They think it's a cute little chat bot. They
Uh-huh.
don't know how to build documents. They don't know how to mock up code. Like they don't know code, but they know they want to have a section on their website that allows users to submit information for a request.
Hmm.
They don't know this stuff that you think is very basic and trivial.
Yeah.
So you've got to lean into that. And there's plenty of opportunities to do this, like marketing campaign. We're in cybersecurity awareness month right now. Everybody's being hit with cybersecurity awareness left and right from all the big vendors. Lean into it, like, hey, let's talk about being safe with and you may not know how LLM jacking works. You may not know how to kind of roll into some of these tests, but you do know not to be stupid. You know, like, hey, when you're using ChatGPT, don't copy and paste your financials in there.
All right.
You know, walk through with them ways of doing this in secure fashions. And if you don't know how to do a secure analysis of your financial reports in Claude or something like that, guess what you can do? You can go to Claude, go to
Yep.
Perplexity and ask it, how do
Yep.
I do
Yep.
this securely? And
Absolutely.
learn. It'll take
Yep.
you a couple minutes, but you could do a lunch and learn, invite all your customers and their friends. Say, hey, look, invite a plus one and you get a steak dinner for free. We're going to talk through how to be secure and safe using AI to keep data leaks from happening at your company. Have another session. Hey, we're going to talk through how to build SOPs or how to build marketing collateral using Claude.
Hmm.
And we're going to sit here, we're going to have a steak dinner, and we're going to design marketing collateral for one of you or two of you or three of you while we eat dinner. And you're going to see it happen on a projector in front of everybody. And you're going to generate more clients that way because you're the one willing to talk to them about this. They're desperate to learn this stuff, people.
That's it.
Even universities are pushing out classes on how to be better at AI.
Yeah.
So if the universities are already on top of this, you're falling behind.
Yeah. That's
My
true.
prediction is if you are not using AI, if you are not even familiar with AI, by the end of this month, you're going to be so far behind that it's going to be almost impossible to catch up.
And this is one of those fast cycles. We've talked about the industry, the big revolutions in human history, and not only are we seeing these big events happen more frequently, but the event itself happens quicker. So the last really big one that I think everyone can universally agree on is, the internet age. The transition from these isolated data sets to a globally connected interface. Was obviously a foundational shift in our marketplace. But that took several years. And, there's still places that struggle with internet access or at least high speed internet access. But this shift that we're seeing with AI, it's messy. I mean, we're seeing lots of weird stuff, things that don't quite make sense. We've got, a lot of investors that are looking at this, calling this, oh, we may be in for another .com sort of bust on some of this. So from a financial perspective on some of those things, maybe we are. But at the end of it all, we're still going to have these tool sets, these capabilities that AI is generating. So we've got to get involved with it. And if you're taking the approach of, well, I'm going to hold back and wait and see, let all this level out a little bit, that's going to be a really tough spot for you because there's going to be so many people that are ahead of the curve when it does level out. And you're going to be playing catch up. You and your customers are going to be playing catch up. And that's not really a good place to be.
Yep. You don't want to be behind here. Like if you're not ready, be honest about it. Be like, hey, I've been through enough technology shifts that I'm just kind of playing this by ear. So what we did to Humanize IT is we created an open letter on AI and our stance on it about how a too quick adoption is going to lead to data breaches and a lot of heartache. However, we also know that if we're not on top of this, that we're going to be left behind. Car dealerships who did not have websites failed, even though the car dealerships with websites were getting SQL injections all over the place. And so we remember those days. So you have to start thinking in terms of risk analysis. Would you rather be out of business knowing your competitors have outpaced you, or would you rather have some security risk? But what if you could handle both? We're much more mature as an industry now than we were in the early 2000s. We've got a lot more seasoned IT professionals who have seen some crap and know how to kind of mitigate things. We have zero trust models now. We don't have just a wide open network. Okay, yeah, you have a breach over here, but now it's contained. Hey, my AI can only access these resources. You understand least privilege. Use these same things today to mitigate your concerns on risk, but you can talk to your customers about this. Be open with them. They want to use this because if they're a flower shop, let's take a flower shop, for instance. I always love to pick on flower shops and hot dog vendors. A flower shop is doing things by hand. They tend to be like a little bit, they've got their kiosk and they're very creative, they're artistic, but they want to do a bigger contract with a local hotel. Well, they can spend $2,000 on an attorney to build them up a contract, or they can go to Claude, have this thing built, have it observe their local state statutes and local codes, and have it build something that's good enough where they can get this contract today. They can walk in the door and say, I'm willing to do all of your plant care and your flower arrangements at your hotel for all events. I can set the fee at this. Here's how much you're going to get out of the cut. And we both win. Now they can move fast. They don't have to be a big flower shop with an attorney. They can move faster. And so most of legal documentation is boilerplate anyways. And for a small
It is.
business, that is
Yep.
good enough. That is good enough. And so you can teach them how to use Claude or Copilot or whatever your favorite document author is for AI to build things that are representative of their organization in their state statute with their legals and legalities, and everybody's happy. And you're saving them time and helping them make money because if they're not doing it, their competitors are.
That's it.
How are their competitors able to go to a local Marriott or a hotel and get these big contracts, the funeral homes and get these big contracts? If I can come in with a contract to this funeral home, say, hey, look, I built up this contract where you make money, we make money, and your
Mhm.
clients get a great experience. I can have that tomorrow. Whereas my competitor has to wait for their attorney to draft it. They have to have enough money to pay them. They have to figure all this stuff out or have a software that's going to build it for them. So they've got a lot of things going on and slowing them down. But with AI, I can have this within the hour.
And it's those little opportunities like that that we can use as use cases. So, a lot of business owners are probably out there looking, they've heard something from, a news or an associate or something like, oh, yeah, we could lose all of our intellectual property or something, if we're not careful. And so they're very hesitant. And you have the ability understanding what you know about data and how we manage all that and say, look, okay, let's look at the opportunities here. And you pick one that worst case scenario, if we did have some sort of data breach, would the impact in this particular area be significant? All right. And someone might look at that and go, no, I mean, that's general knowledge. I mean, we've kind of put it all together. We put the work in it, but it's someone else could do the work as well. We went, all right, great. We've got a data set. Now let's see what we can do with it. And you're going to learn some things. All right. We're going to prove what we can do with those and build the infrastructure so that when we get to a point where like, hey, this is really important stuff. This is the keys to our financial, success. This is our special sauce, whatever it is, we've got to protect it. You'll have the track record and the experience and the infrastructure to implement those things. So this is a great way to just start with little things, low risk, and we don't oversell the upsides. There may not be a huge upside to it, but as I've mentioned several times, just going through these steps and these processes is going to be just unbelievably good training, good knowledge that will allow you to do these other things much more reliably and much more successfully.
Yeah. So for people listening, I want you to think about what Skip said there. What we have is a much more successful set of employees. You have employees that are really good at their job. You love your employees. Well, most of them. But anyway, small business wise are like little families and you want to make them more successful. What if you had 10 Alice's? What if Alice could have her own team?
Uh-huh.
And I say this without exaggeration. Skip can see what I've been working on in the background at Humanize IT. It's for better or for worse, there are now 10 atoms with expanded capacity working on a problem. And so I gotta ask myself, do I want 10 skips or not?
Yeah, I don't know if I want.
So, but the goal there is that this is real.
Yes.
It's not so much that you're gonna get a virtual employee that you're gonna turn on. Like, I've seen ads for those. I have no idea what those things even are. Maybe I'll try one eventually. I'm very intrigued by the idea of an AI helping me with my email.
Uh-huh. That'd be handy.
So I get so much, people. Anyways, I found that when I'm using the combination of Perplexity, Claude, and Replit, I am able to do things in like an hour that would have taken me literally years.
Yeah.
And it's expanding my capacity. I don't need to know React and Node.js. I don't need to understand PostgreSQL. I understand them at an architectural level. I've got a computer science degree. I can generally hazily remember the fog of architecture. And so I can design out things. Normally, I would have had to go through a couple years of classes and learn how to code. Actually, probably years, probably more like for me, it'd be like 6 months or so of classes, boot camps, and understanding this. But then I'd be missing a decade or so of architectural knowledge and wisdom.
Mhm.
Instead, I can use a Lovable, I can use a Replit, and I can proof of concept things and really think it through and hand it to my developers if I need to. Or I can do something like if you go out to meeting-maker.humanizeit.biz, I built that in a couple hours while I was working on other things. I just said, build me this. And I went over and I continued on doing my email, my sales calls, everything I was doing. Adam became more of himself. And you can do that for your employees. You, as an MSP, can teach your businesses, your clients to become 10x. So walk into them. You don't have to say, I'm going to 10x your revenue. I'm going to 10x your staff. I'm going
Yes.
to teach them that through AI. And then the business owner can decide what can they do with that. So my advice to people is hold a workshop, or if you want Adam to hold a workshop, let me know. I love teaching. Let's do a workshop where it says X your employees with AI. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you how and how to be safe. And we're going to enjoy a steak dinner, or we're going to have a nice little webinar. And in the end, your customer is going to trust you more. You have set yourself up as a forward thinking authority, and they're going to ask you about other incidental things like, hey, while you're here, can you fix my computer? While you're here, can you answer some questions about, yeah, if you go ahead and sign this contract, we'll go ahead and put you on retainer and blah, blah, blah. And you've just got your foot in the door. You built a relationship. You gave them help on some pain point they had. People are being fed right now. If you're not using AI, you're falling behind, but they don't know where to go to learn.
Yeah. Well, there's a real practical application that I see in our business. All right. So, a little transparency here. So we've been using HubSpot for a decade, and we have a decade's worth of stuff out there. All right. We've got workflows and, data imports that we had and connectors. Some of them are still connected and some of them aren't. I mean, you've all seen these environments, right? They're a mess. And to do some of the things, I'm not a HubSpot expert, but I've taken on some of these, and yes, I can get it done. It takes literally hours sometimes. And I keep thinking, all right, one of these days we're going to just hire a HubSpot expert, right? I'm just going to, get
Someday,
someone on a call and I'm just going to talk and say, all right, go do it. All right. Now AI comes along and I think, wow, I could just have AI go do this, right? So that's a cost savings. All right, sort of approach. And I've been doing a little bit of that. But here's what I found, and here's where I think employees and employers need to get this little good bit of nugget. All right. Is not the answer to everything. And so, even though, yes, there is this HubSpot connector that I can utilize, when I go and tell it to do stuff, it doesn't really know exactly what to do. There are so many nuanced things about our environment that it fails. I asked it a standard question that should be really easy, and it came back and went, no, that's not available, or the data that came back was a total mess. And I'm looking at it and go, oh, I know why that doesn't work. My experience, even though I'm not a HubSpot expert, I know our data. I know how things are generally running, and I can come in there and go, oh, okay, you need to look for this field. Yesterday, I told it one thing, all right? One thing. I said, here's the unique field you need to look for, all right? And then went back to my other query and like all of a sudden everything works. So that was a multiplier for me. Do you want to take my experience out of the environment and just let HubSpot do it? No, it's going to fail. Or the AI tool with HubSpot. But me providing that little bit of what is the equivalent of expert information within our environment enables that to work, and that multiplies what I can do. And so that sort of concept is what your staff can do. Give them the tools to multiply their skill set, multiply their knowledge. Don't remove it from the environment, multiply it. There is a cost savings to remove those. I totally get that. But there is a better cost, you know, financial advantage to multiply what your staff already does and already knows. And I think that is the huge, huge opportunity for AI in businesses, especially small businesses today.
Yeah. And you have to think of it like that. Don't think of it as employee replacement. Think of it as employee augmentation. I think that's the big message to get out to your clients. We're not replacing your employees. You guys are families. You guys are working together. You're not replacing your employee. You're giving them research assistance. You're giving them capacity to do things automatically. Like right now, as this podcast is recording, I've got Replit over here building up a system for me. I prompted, I said, hey, I need you to build this for me. And it is. And it's going to take it probably 40 minutes to do it. So I started it before I started the podcast. So it's like I have an intern. I think we refer to as our AIs as a really, really highly intelligent intern. They
Yes.
need guidance, they need your wisdom, but they love doing the work. And so, hey, I need you to build this web widget for me, or I need you to build this document for me. And you just give it the prompt and you walk away. And then you continue on doing your client management. You continue building flower bouquets. You continue selling hot dogs while this intern is off building these documents that you've been meaning to build for years. You just hate writing documents, but
Yeah.
this intern loves it.
Yeah.
Give it a series of prompts. Hey, create me an SOP for, delivering flowers. Create me an SOP for this. Base it upon these documents I have in Google Docs.
Hmm.
These are little prompts and things you can do. But as an MSP, as an advisor, set yourself up there as the advisor because in a year, you're going to be pretty well into this. In 3 years, this is going to be your lifeblood. And you're going to get known today as the AI friendly MSP. You might be the MSP say, oh, everybody should be using AI right now. You might be the MSP that says, you know what? I don't think AI is a good fit for you guys right now. I think you should hold off. Given that you've got a lot of private information, we need to know a little bit more, or we need to get you into a more secure environment. And I don't know if you can afford that quite yet. Let's talk about costs on that. And so you're giving them real information. Share your concerns, but also be an enabler, be an advisor in the end. Strategy. How can you use AI strategically in your business to succeed? Should you use AI in your business to succeed? Create lunch and learns, create webinars, create conferences in your local town, and host this. Become the expert.
Well, and to kind of lean into this a little bit more as far as, what we work on, uh, what would it enable you to do? And so another kind of quick example, produce a report yesterday that is been kind of the elusive report for us. All right. And we've put it together in the past, but it's always been such a manual process. And I know these reports exist in a lot of business today. It takes them hours to put together, but they're vital and they need those sort of reports. And the thought process come in, oh, wow, I could get an AI tool that would, you know, create that report for me instantly. All right. So do I really need that team member who half of their job is, centered around developing that report? Well, no, that team member doesn't need to be doing that work. But here's the real value drive in this is what does your organization do with that report, right? So now you have a half of an FTE who can go do or contribute to the desired results from that report. All right. We're just shifting their focus. And so now it's not, in the back end, just, crunching through stuff. It's now getting out there and making money off of it. Capitalizing those things is where companies are really going to stand out. I mean, there's two opportunities. You can save a lot of money in some instances using AI, but saving money is not the same thing as making money. All right. And so, do you want to save a lot of money or do you want to make a lot of money? And I think that when you get down to business kind of conversations with people, they're going to sit back and go, I show up every day because I want to make money. I can only save so much. I've got to make some money along the way. And that is going to be the value that your clients get interested in, and they see you as the partner because you help them do that.
Yeah, and AI is there. You're gonna help your clients, and you gotta let them create the vision, but they don't know if they don't have the tools. Give them the tools, show them what's possible, and let them run with it, and you will have a loyal customer for the rest of your life. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming on, Skip. This has been a great series on AI. Like I've been very, very deep into AI the last month or so. And I really am seeing the value from a business standpoint of how this is going to help us move forward. Now, I just want MSPs to teach their customers how this value is going to drive their companies to the next generation. All right, we'll see everyone next week.
All right. See ya.